Okay, real quick video on landscape designing your yard. This is how I'm doing it. I always say I don't do it on paper, so let me explain and show you how I do this. Because I want it to be creative. It's a work of art. Okay, to me, it's a work of art, and you get to work with nature, which is awesome, especially when it cooperates. So, but I want to talk about designing your yard. How do you design it? I mean, I'm over there and I get a piece of paper and I draw it on there and all of this. But really, there is no substitute for looking at your yard, walking into your yard. Two things you want to be always in the back of your mind is, where is the sun? Where is it coming across the sky at this season? Summer, it's high in the sky. Winter, it's low. You always want to know when you're out there, you feel that sun behind you, in front of you, wherever you want to feel it going across that sky. That's what your landscape is living off of, and a few other things. But that sun going across the sky is important to it, and its path is important to it. And also, as I've said in another one, you really want to, what is composition in artwork? It's composition. What does the painting look like? Where that, the foreground, the background. And with the competition, yay, with the composition of your landscape, okay, you can draw it out on paper and stuff, but you're gonna have a tree shading your garden that you didn't think about, because when you draw it on paper, you never looked at which way was north. You never looked at which way the sun was coming from. You have trees blocking things. You'll have, if you do it by walking out and looking at it, your landscape is happier. Not only that, it looks nice. And then now we're going to get into art composition. So this was a flat yard. I'm working on the composition. I just started it. If you're doing the front yard, your composition is what? Well, when people drive by and look at your house from the street, what does it look like? Does it look nice, or did you plant everything in front? They can't see it. Did you want it that way? Can you see it? If you did, then fine, block it from the street. Look at your front door. And hey, when I walk out my front door, what is the composition? Not when I'm standing in the middle of the yard, which does come into play in composition after you get the general one done, and making everything happy in its spot. But the composition. So this one here that I'm looking at is my backyard. The sun is coming over my shoulder, behind the camera, and into the backyard over the house. This is the view from my back door and my back window. This is where I'm designing the yard from. This is the beginning of it. I want it to look nice when I look out my back window, and I want it to look nice when I come out my back door. So I'm designing it from that view. That's the composition. It's when I walk out my back door, my yard, I want it to look at it. I want it to look nice. There's some secrets to making a yard look bigger. You always have a little area going to that back fence, and if you put completely plants in front of that back fence all the way across, your yard will look smaller. If 3/4 of that fence is covered with plants, but there's little areas where you can see that the fence, where you can see where it goes back, especially in the corners. If you got a little open in the corner, it'll keep that openness looking in your yard. You won't make your yard look smaller. It'll keep that big open look. So you always want to go back and have open spots on the edges. You always want to be able to look back into the border somewhere. Now, how I'm designing this, here comes an airplane competition again. It's a busy day today. When I first started this, I ended up with a big square yard. I cleared out anything I wanted. I had a big, nice, flat square yard. I don't want it flat, but this is the opening canvas, like a picture, blank canvas. So to design it, I went out there for 2 days, and all I did was lay garden hose. The first 2 days of this was so easy. I just laid garden hose out and looked at them. Hey, do I want a bed here? Put a garden hose along where I wanted a bed. Moved them around. For 2 days, I kicked them around until I come out of my back door, and I'm looking at composition going, this looks nice. I like the way it looks when I come out of the house. So basically, I had a flat yard, garden hoses laying out there along these bed lines. You see them now starting to cut. I got videos on cutting these bed lines after you get the garden hose. But take 2 or 3 days. Lay them out, walk out there in your yard, look at it. Look at it as you walk up to the house from the back. But get your composition down before you start. Take 2 days and lay out your composition with garden hoses in your yard and look at them. And get it all nice to where you want it. And this is like a beginning video on the beginning of how to start designing a nice lush landscape easy maintenance yard that has everything in it, and it's the way you like it. If you want to design it, I would suggest this. The paperwork does not, writing it down on paper does not work for me, even if I know where the sun is. I would rather sit here and come out my back door and go, this is what I want. I want a hill here. I want beds here. I want my flower beds here. Like I said, if I put flower beds all the way around my yard, all the way around the border, just flat, which is not what I want, but I did, and I lined them out and cut just little flower beds all the way, and then planted stuff, I'm losing the depth that I want. So I always want, I could do that around my yard, but always leave a little spot that goes back to that back fence. Don't bed the entire thing. Leave yourself, it opens your yard up. I guess one of the lessons of the day. And I just wanted to put in, what you haven't seen is me kicking around that garden hose that you see laying there along the bed edges that you now see. And I just had garden hoses laying on the flat and got the composition right. And that was the beginning of designing my yard. Thank you. This is Designing the Yard. Beginning design. Have a nice day, as always.